Hey there! Ready for a deep dive? You've brought us this fascinating text, PDF, and wow, getting out of the maze, just the title alone, really grabs you.
It's a powerful metaphor, isn't it? It really gets you thinking.
It does, and it's by Spencer Johnson. You might recognize him. He wrote, Who Moved My Cheese? So we already know we're in good hands, right? We're tackling life's complexities here.
Absolutely.
But we're not just gonna, translate the whole book word for word.
Right.
It's about finding those nuggets of wisdom, those takeaways that you can actually use.
Practical advice?
Exactly. Because, let's face it, we've all felt lost in that maze at some point, right?
Oh, absolutely. Career crossroads, relationship struggles, even just personal goals feeling blocked.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been there.
Totally. And that's what I love about this book. It just gets it, And it's structured so clearly. 5 parts, each one building on the last. So to kick things off, part 1, understanding the maze itself.
It starts by acknowledging something unavoidable, something we all deal with. Change is inevitable.
Oh, yeah, change, right? It's constant.
It's everywhere. Our careers, relationships, everything.
Which honestly can be a bit overwhelming sometimes.
Of course, we all crave stability, right? It's natural.
Totally.
But this book, Sean Sakte, it suggests that clinging too tightly to control can actually make us feel even more trapped when those changes do happen.
That makes sense, but okay, so if change is going to happen anyway, how do we stop it from being a negative experience? How do we navigate all those twists and turns without hitting dead ends all the time?
That's where part 2 comes in, finding your way. And this is where things get really interesting. It's not just about solving the problems, it's about changing how we think about them in the first place, shifting our mindset.
So not like wishing problems away, but more like changing our perspective on them.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that our perception of the maze often dictates our experience of it.
I like that. But how do we actually do that? Because let's be real, our brains can be, well, kind of negative sometimes.
That's the thing. It's about being proactive. The book really digs into the power of our thoughts, especially those negative ones. And it's not about just saying, think positive and hoping for the best.
That never works.
Exactly. It's about actively challenging those negative thoughts, reframing those limiting beliefs that keep us stuck.
Okay, I'm really liking this idea of reframing, because we all have that inner critic,
We do.
Yeah.
It's about learning to quiet that voice and cultivating a more constructive inner dialogue.
So how do we actually do that? How do we silence those negative voices and start having a more positive conversation with ourselves?
Well, one technique the book highlights is the power of what-if questions. Instead of dwelling on what's wrong, we can ask empowering questions like, what if this is actually an opportunity for growth? Or what if I can handle this better than I think? It's about shifting our focus from problems to possibilities.
What if? So simple, yet so powerful. Okay, so we've got our maze, we know change is going to happen, and we're starting to shift our mindset. But how do we actually start moving? How do we go from thinking about the maze to confidently navigating it?
That's where part 3 takes center stage, and I think you're going to love this part. It's all about taking action.
Taking action, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes I get so stuck in my head, overthinking everything, I forget to actually do something.
Oh, totally. Analysis paralysis, we've all been there.
For real. But this book, Sumiho Kusoshure, it reminds us that action, even small steps, that's how we make progress.
Absolutely. It's about momentum.
So, where do we even begin? If we're feeling lost in the maze, how do we choose the right path, the right first step?
The book has this really cool idea. It talks about focusing on micro wins, tiny achievable steps.
Micro wins, I like that.
Right. They might seem small, but over time they build up to bigger victories.
Because, you know what? Trying to tackle a huge goal all at once, it can be so overwhelming, you just freeze up.
Exactly. Writing a book, changing careers, whatever it is, that's where micro wins come in. Instead of focusing on the massive end goal, we break it down.
Okay, so if you want to write a book, a micro win could be writing for 15 minutes a day.
Perfect example. Or just jotting down ideas whenever they come to you. It's about consistent, manageable action.
It's like building a mosaic, right? Each little piece might not seem like much, but together they create this amazing picture.
Exactly. And speaking of those small steps, Shayayanchieshe, it acknowledges that we're going to stumble along the way.
Yeah, it's not going to be perfect, right? There will be wrong turns.
Definitely. But the book reframes those experiences. Setbacks become valuable learning opportunities.
Okay, I like the setbacks as feedback.
Right. It's about seeing those moments as information. What worked, what didn't, how can we adjust?
Instead of beating ourselves up, we learn from it and move on.
Exactly. We approach those setbacks with curiosity. What can I learn from this? How can I use this to do better next time?
Turning those wrong turns into like guideposts for the future. And that ties into another big theme, resilience, right? Because life throws curveballs. So how do we build up that inner strength to bounce back?
The book suggests it's not about being born resilient. It's a skill, something we develop over time.
So it's a practice.
Yes, and a big part of that is how we view those challenges.
So not roadblocks, but like opportunities.
Exactly. It encourages us to see challenges as possibilities, to test our limits, develop new skills, come out stronger on the other side.
Right, because it's so easy to get stuck in that negative thought pattern and see those challenges as setbacks. But yeah, seeing them as opportunities, that's the key. And resilience isn't just about like bouncing back from tough times, right? It's about keeping that momentum going even when the path gets really long and winding.
Absolutely, and the Metaahye really emphasizes that. He talks about perseverance, that unwavering belief in yourself, that you'll find your way, even when it's not clear how.
It's like remembering why you started this journey in the first place.
Yes. Exactly. Your purpose, your why, that's what fuels your determination. And speaking of keeping things moving, the book also talks about celebrating those wins along the way. Because sometimes when we're so focused on the end goal, we forget to acknowledge how far we've already come.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's easy to get so caught up in what's next that we don't celebrate those small victories.
Right, and those small wins are so important. They give us that boost of motivation to keep going. Suisuke actually suggests taking the time to really appreciate those moments of accomplishment, no matter how small they seem.
It's like giving yourself a pat on the back, like, hey, I'm doing this.
Exactly. Recognizing your progress is so important for maintaining a positive mindset. And as we reach the final part of Suisuke, there's one last key insight I want to touch on.
Okay, lay it on me. What's the grand finale?
Well, the book reminds us that we don't have to navigate the maze alone. It emphasizes helping others find their way.
It's like that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yes. When we share our knowledge, our experiences, we empower others, and we learn and grow ourselves. It's a win-win.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Samyusa, I think it's clear that this book offers some really powerful tools for navigating the ups and downs of life. It reminds us that we have the strength, the resilience to overcome challenges and create a more meaningful life for ourselves and for others. But here's the thing about the maze, it's always changing, right?
Absolutely. There's always something new to learn, a new path to discover.
Exactly. So as you move forward, armed with these new insights, ask yourself, what new skills or perspectives do I need to embrace to navigate the ever-changing maze of life? That's something to ponder. And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive. Until next time, happy navigating.
نتعلم نخطو نتقدم وننير الدرب إذا أظلم نتعلم والعلم سفير ما بين معلم ومعلم العلم مدينة إلهام لا يدخلها إلا ملهم ودليل العالم أستاذ كم ربى أجيال وعلم ونهوض الأمة مرهون بالعلم فهيا نتعلم ونهوض الأمة مرهون بالعلم فهيا نتعلم بالعلم فهيا نتعلم نخطو نتقدم وننير الدرب إذا أظلم نتعلم والعلم سفير ما بين معلم